Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming back at you with Mathmech yet again. Normally I don't like to cover the same deck this close back to back, but one, I really like Mathmech, so that's one of the reasons why I'm doing it again after just a few days. But also, the release of Mulcharmy Fuwalos actually is fairly significant for this deck in particular. And not because it has, like, any way that it natively goes into the combo line, aside from the fact that it is a level 4 monster, and also the fact that hand traps are actually very often used as part of the Mathmech combo line, right? If you open, like, something like an Effect Veiler, or Joel and Lockbird, or a Maxi, as long as it's a hand trap you can normal summon, then all you need to open alongside it is like any of your Cyberse extenders here that can special themselves from your hand, and you're good to go for full combo because you can always link that hand trap into Salamangreat Almirage. But Fuwalos also has the added bonus of, again, like I mentioned, being level 4. So let's say you open Fuwalos alongside like Mathmech Edition, you could just normal summon a Fuwalos, Special Edition, and then overlay into Prime Mathmech Alm version. And now not only are you able to go into a Terahertz, but you can actually just do Mathmech full combo, right? So, Fuwalos actually has even more applications, if you can believe it, as well, with Small World. So Small World is one of the things that I mentioned before would make Fuwalos better than a lot of other going second cards, right? When you think of going second cards, a lot of the times you think of stuff like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched, a bunch of Board Breakers, Spell, and Trap cards. But because, of course, the Fuwalos is a monster, it can be used for Small World, and it is a fantastic Small World bridge for this deck. It's a level 4 monster, but doesn't share anything in common with any of our level 4 Cyberse monsters, meaning this acts as a bridge to all of them. Droll and Lockbird is wind, so you can go from Droll into Fuwalos or vice versa. It's got 600 defense, much like Nibiru, so you could go Small World, Fuwalos, Nib, and then into like one of your Mathmechs like Circular or something. Or you could do the other way around, Nib into Fuwalos into one of your Mathmechs. So also makes Droll and Lockbird easily searchable off of Small World if you have like any level 4 monster. It fits very well into a deck which already has phenomenally amazing Small World lines. So this build is very similar to the one that I very recently featured, but it does have a couple of notable differences, right? This build is based off the one that got, one of the ones that got top 100 in the latest Duelist Cup. But of course we've added Fuwalos because, well, those are out now. I changed the hand trap configuration very slightly as well, mostly to include Nibiru. Like I touched upon in our video about the Mulcharmies yesterday, I think what's most important if you're going to choose to play Fuwalos is, in addition to Maxi, of course, is that you still have a good amount of good hand traps to go into, right? So we have the Veilers, we have the Imperm, and we have Nib. Nib, of course, again, also acts as a great Small World bridge in this deck in particular. For the extra deck, I did also change it up a little bit. I put the second Splash Mage back in, and I took out the Link Spider. I don't think Link Spider is bad if I were playing in a tournament, or if I were choosing to do a Duelist Cup grind, because I don't value my sanity. Then yeah, I would probably play Link Spider as a Nibiru insurance. But for rank ladder purposes, I think the second Splash Mage tends to come up a little bit more often. I do still occasionally get the comment asking what Link Spider is for, so for those who aren't familiar, if you get hit with a Nibiru, then you can link the Nib token into Link Spider, and much like having any old hand trap, as long as you have like any of your Cyberse extenders in your hand, then you are still able to go into a full combo. A lot of the time you can just keep going as if you didn't get disrupted by Nibiru at all. So the second Splash Mage can also be a bit of a Nib counter, although it's more of a follow-up Nib counter. But moreover, the function of the second Splash Mage is that if your first Splash Mage gets negated and then removed, and you only play one copy, it is so difficult to come back after that. It becomes much more difficult because you can't just go into G-Golem if you haven't gotten transcode in the graveyard yet. So that's where the second Splash Mage comes in. I think second Splash Mage and Link Spider are about as likely to come up as the other. It's just that you have more of a variety of situations where the second Splash Mage is useful, whereas the Link Spider is good for like exactly one thing. But it is a very important function that it has, of course. We're on the Armored Bitron still as well. This is, for those who don't know, it's pretty much just Lone Fire Blossom for Cybers monsters. It negates the monster that it brings out, but if you bring out Firewall Defensor, that doesn't matter, because it's only negated while it's in the field. As soon as you link off Firewall Defensor for Lingaribo, you can still activate Firewall Defensor's effect from the graveyard. So that's all pretty nice there. And like I said, pretty much the same. We're still on the Firewall Dragon Singularity. And all that good stuff. So, also still no Update Jammer or Multiplication. I'm loving not having to play either of those cards. Again, if you missed the last video, I'll say very briefly that the way to OTK without those is to use G-Golem Crystal Heart plus the Terahertz. You can use Terahertz to dump an Earth monster. As long as it's co-linked with the G-Golem, then the Terahertz will be able to make 2 attacks, not just against monsters, 2 attacks in general, and those attacks inflict piercing damage. So, again, refer to the other video. I do show in one of those games there, the combo line. I don't remember if I showed off in these games or not. We'll see. But anyway, I'll break the list down card by card for y'all, and then we'll start jumping into these games here. We're on 2 Effect Veiler, 1 Droll and Lockbird, 1 Dotscaper, 3 Max C, 1 Armored Bitron, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Firewall Guardian, 1 Mathmech Sigma, 1 Mathmech Addition, 1 Mathmech Subtraction, 1 Mathmech Diameter, 3 Mathmech Circular, 3 Firewall Defensor, 3 Mulcharmy Fuwalos, 2 Parallel Exceed, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Synapse Mining, 1 Mathmech Equation, 3 Small World, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Cross-Out Designator, 2 Infinite Permanents, and then 1 Mathmech Super Factorial. And that is going to be our main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Cyber Stee Save Worm, 1 Primathmech Laplation, 1 Primathmech Almbertian, 1 Meteorologic Aggregator, 1 Salamangreat Almirage, 1 Lingaribo, 1 Link Decoder, 2 Splash Mage, 2 G-Golem Crystal Heart, 1 Transcode Talker, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid Neo Tempest Terahertz, and finally 1 Firewall Dragon Singularity. That's going to do it for our list. Let's see these games. Alright, our first opponent is going to be on Labyrinth. I think I remember this game. In this game in particular, we'll get to show off the power of Firewall Dragon Singularity. We're taking the first turn here. I got a pretty good opening hand with the Defensor Circular Veiler. I want to try to Small World here, if possible, into something that can help me against Max C. Ideally, that would have been Ash Blossom, but I actually can't go for that off of the Small World bridge that I've got here. Veiler unfortunately doesn't have a bridge that goes into Ash Blossom, so I decided to grab the Droll and Lockbird instead. Droll and Lockbird is actually a very effective Max C counter in Mathmech. Our opponent's not going to end up having Max C, but I'll demonstrate for you here. We Special Circular. Let's say they chained Max C here. They'd get 1 draw. We Special Sigma. They get 2 draws. We get the Circular Search. Well, we don't here because they're going to Imperm us, but if they didn't have Imperm and they had Max C, they'd get 2 draws. We'd get the Search. Then we'd go into Alimbertian, they draw and get the Search. And then we would Droll after the next draw. You might be thinking 3 draws sounds like a lot, but I think it's worth giving our opponent 3 draws to be able to go full combo. Now here our opponent actually has double Imperm. Now the first Imperm against Circular actually didn't really matter a lot. And that's kind of what made me think my opponent might have another negate here. Because usually people go for the Alimbertian. If you have like 1 Veiler / Imperm, that's where you should probably negate the Mathmech line and just hope they don't have an extender. We do. We have a Firewall Defensor, so we are good to go. Gonna summon the Lingaribo and activate the Firewall Defensor effect here, going for Firewall Guardian. We're going to link off Guardian and Lingaribo to go into our Splash Mage. Firewall Guardian F gets to bring itself back. I'm going to link that off to go for the Link Decoder. And then from there we can make Transcode. You may be yelling at your screen, Hex, you didn't use Splash Mage's effect! Don't worry, we're going to use it here in a second, actually. We're going to use Transcode effect here after Link Decoder brings itself back to bring back said Splash Mage. You know, if I knew I was playing against Lab, I think I actually might have brought back a Lingerebo and ended on Terahertz Lingerebo here. That actually I don't think would have been bad at all, but of course I just saw double Imperm, so I had no way of really knowing that was specifically Lab. And here we're going to end on Terahertz Heat Soul. If I had had one more body, I could have actually ended on Singularity Terahertz, but the main thing that stopped me from doing that is that I had to link off my Alimbertion. You usually want to keep Alimbertion around if possible. Not even if possible, you do want to keep it around. That's how you make Singularity plus Terahertz, is by using the Tribute effect in order to trigger the Singularity second effect here. And that'll give you enough materials to make the Terahertz as well. But Heat Soul's not bad, especially getting a second Imperm on the follow-up draw. Then we're going to activate the Heat Soul effect to get another draw here. I'm really sad that I drew Super Factorial during my opponent's turn. If I had drawn this during my turn, I could have set it and then used Terahertz to dump Diameter, and the Super Factorial would have been live. But, no such luck here. So it's going to normal summon Ariana. I am absolutely going to end up using the Infinite Impermanence on that. I do not want to deal with this. Whatever she's trying to get. Alright, and they're actually going to end up overlaying the Ariana for the Typhoon. Superstar Slayer, Typhoon, Sky Crisis. That's actually a bit of a problem for me. Mathmech? Well, it's not a problem for me here because I have Imperm, but it's a problem for Mathmech in general. Not just the bounce effect, but Typhoon's continuous effect actually really screws up your Terahertz and has a lot of potential to screw up your Axis Code Talker as well. Alright, while I have the opportunity to, I'm going to activate Terahertz's effect again. Get a free body in the form of Dotscaper while I'm at it. Opponent's going to activate Big Welcome. I decided to use D-Save Worm here, even though this was 100% bait. And it's actually bait for Dogmatica punishment, which I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because I have Firewall Defensor in my yard, so yeah, even if they send Nodin, not Nodin, what's this one called? Intes. Yeah, I can just use Firewall Defensor's Graveyard effect to protect my Terahertz. And yeah, we're just going to move to battle phase and smack into this Typhoon. Was my plan until they flipped up a Karma Cannon set off of Trap Trick here, getting rid of my Terahertz. But that also puts their monster face down, meaning that I don't have to worry about the continuous effect as I combo during main phase 2. Alright, we're going for that G-Golem Crystal Heart. G-Golem gets to bring back Transcode. Transcode can activate here. That gets to bring back the Splash Mage. And then, of course, I can activate Splash Mage and bring back just another body from my yard. And here, I'm going to use everything but the Splash Mage to end up making the Firewall Dragon Singularity. I did it this way for a few reasons. I wanted my Firewall Dragon... Like, I could have used Splash Mage and left G-Golem and had the G-Golem in this zone pointing down to the Singularity. But for Singularity's second effect, it's ideal to have its arrows pointing to your opponent's zones. Also, G-Golem at that point wouldn't be able to revive Transcode on the follow-up turn, but with this setup, Splash Mage can still revive something on the follow-up turn. We're going to use Singularity to put back the Typhoon in the extra deck here, set Super Factorial, and then pass. Opponent's going to draw. Normal summon Ash Blossom, I know what you're up to. You want to summon Typhoon again. So we're going to immediately use the Singularity effect to bounce the Ash Blossom. Of course, we have our toggle set to on for this. That's another reason why I made Singularity here. I figured it being a Labyrinth deck, their most likely play was to draw, set a spell trap, and then pass. And then during the end phase, I could have used Singularity to bounce a face-down spell or trap card before it can be activated back to the opponent's hand. But they're just going to concede here, so yeah, there you go. Even though we can add it to our turn 1 end board, this game does still show how Firewall Dragon's Singularity is a very powerful boss monster for your opponent to contend with. Good stuff. Alright, we of course have a couple more games. Let's check out the next one. Let's throw in a going second game here. How about a going second game against Ogdoadic White Forest Sprite? Ah, a person after my own heart. Might have to end up stealing their list and trying it out here. But as you can see, we're going second this time. Opening with a couple of pretty solid hand traps. Our opponent's going to lead with a Nightmare Throne, adding the Dark Beckoning Beast. And after normal summoning Dark Beckoning Beast, I'm going to lead with Valor. Kind of assumed it was Yubel. And this is a thing that I talk about a lot when using hand traps. If you have like a negate versus Maxi / Fuwalos, a card that draws you a lot. Which one I use first totally depends on the rest of my hand. Here I have a starter, I have an extender, and I have a way to stop hand traps. I don't need to draw any more cards to totally pop off on my opponent's turn. So I'm fine if Valor on Dark Beckoning Beast would cause my opponent to go to end phase. Now, if the rest of my hand were a bunch of hand traps, I think then I would wait to try to get some draws off of Fuwalos to potentially find some plays. Alright, so we're going to negate their Beckoning Beast. They're going to special summon Sprite Blue. At this point, I was like, oh, hell yeah, here we go. At this point, I am also going to use the Fuwalos. Again, I don't mind using it a little bit preemptively here, because I have everything I'm going to need for my opponent's turn in my hand already. Looks like they're willing to give me a draw for a Sprite Red, as well as a second draw for an IP Masquerena. I actually think this was pretty good on my opponent's part. I don't disagree with their plays at all here. You still end on an extremely solid board, and I don't end on any more cards that I would have had in my hand normally going into my turn. I think my opponent played very well. I did, however, spot a bit of an opportunity to get some advantage on my turn coming up here. During the end of the main, I'm going to use Nibiru. Now, of course, my opponent's going to use Sprite Red, sack Jet, and negate it. But I actually wanted that to happen. That is actually specifically why I use Nibiru here. Because now, think about it. Going into my opponent's turn, they're only going to have IP Masquerena and Sprite Red. They no longer have the luxury of a monster negate and going into SP. They have to choose one or the other. And this sucks. I know it sucks because I, as a Sprite enjoyer, have been in this situation many, many times. But despite not summoning itself, this Nibiru is actually going to fulfill multiple functions this game. I'm also going to get to Small World It Away here, using Fuwalos and actually grabbing Parallel Exceed. That's another bridge with Fuwalos I didn't discuss earlier, because Parallel Exceed is wind. Fuwalos is a very, very easy way to go into that. After that, I'm going to use Circular, dumping Sigma in order to special. Oh, I don't even get special before my opponent concedes here. I knew they conceded early. I just didn't realize it was that early. But I don't blame them either, because it's like, actually, I really more than anything want to know what their face down card was. I can understand why, like, if you know I have Parallel Exceed in hand and you see me go Circular, dump Sigma, like, then yeah, it's pretty much over. Wait, it's not over at that point. Because you could go into SP, banish the Sigma from the yard after. Okay, you do this after the summon of Circular is successfully resolved. You go into SP, banish Sigma in the graveyard. Then I would have to link, if I didn't have another extender, I would have to link Circular into Lingeribo. Then when I go to activate Parallel Exceed, you could activate SP's effect, bounce itself and Lingeribo out. There's no longer a zone for me to put Parallel Exceed. Now, granted, with this hand, I would have just normal summoned Firewall Defensor and been fine. But that is a way my opponent could have played through all of the stuff they knew for sure that I had. So I was about to say I don't blame them for conceding, but I think it was a little bit early. But at the same time, I can understand somebody not spotting that line that quickly. I can't guarantee that I would have in that situation. But let's watch one more game before we finish off here. Alright, this last game is going to be a one-turn duel, which I don't normally show, but it's against Goaty, and a lot of the reason I'm showing this one-turn game is that they do a lot of playing on my turn one. Got a very, very good opening hand here. I love this hand. Gonna, of course, start with the Circular, dumping Sigma. Our opponent's going to chain Snoppius, Shade of the Goaty, banishing 2 monsters, including Zep, in order to summon it. I'm, of course, going to respond with Max C, because I know I'm about to get multiple draws on my turn 1. And that's actually insane. Like, if you have a Max C and your opponent's popping off on your turn 1, that's extra insane, because not only do you get a million draws, but you get to then use them right away. Our opponent's going to go for an Oscon here, which is going to banish itself and the Mathmech Circular. So, the idea here, of course, being that my opponent has gotten rid of my Circular, and thus I can no longer search Super Factorial if I bring back Sigma. But at the same time, that gave me, like, so Maxi and Circular, so 1, 2, 3, so that gave me 4 draws to my opponent's 2-card hand now? Sorry, 3-card hand. I'm completely fine with this development. I'm going to normal summon Diameter and then bring back Sigma. This will do a couple of things. Not only do I get to go Allen Burschen for another extender, but now this Allen Burschen has an Omni Negate, which will guarantee my plays will be safe for the remainder of the turn here. I can then use Small World to send off the Fuwalos to once again grab Parallel Exceed. Keeping in mind that even though I have already used my normal summon, we do still have the option to revive Sigma. I haven't used that yet. And as you can see, I still don't have anything in my EMZs. So we get to link off into Splash Mage here. Now, the only Mathmech monster I have in my graveyard right now is Diameter. And I obviously can't use a Circular in my hand. So I think what I would have to do here in order to set up Super Factorial is send 2 Mathmech monsters as my 2 sends off of Terahertz. And I think that's worth it. It's a little bit debatable, because you are missing out on 2 negates in the form of D-Save Worm and Aggregator, but I think that Super Factorial is a stronger... It's not just an Omni Negate, it's also like multiple forms of removal, right? So, but here I can go for Parallel Exceed. It's the Splash Mage zone. Link off one of my Parallel Exceeds to go into Link Decoder. Haven't even used Splash Mage yet, by the way. Oh, my opponent just concedes here. So, yeah, from here... So, with this board state, I wouldn't have been able to go into Singularity, again, because I had to use my Allen Burschen as a link material. But it would be so trivially easy to go into Terahertz plus Heat Soul here. And again, I would... Well, actually, before I start dumping with Terahertz in this situation, I would add off of Heat Soul, because that would allow the opportunity to draw addition or subtraction, special them, link them off into Lingeriba, which I don't think we use at this point, at any point during this combo line, and then you'd only have to dump 1 monster off of Diameter, or off of Terahertz, but... Yeah, you would need to get 2 other Mathmech monsters in the yard, but otherwise that's still full combo, showing the power of Maxi turn 1 against Goaty. But anyway, thought I'd just finish off with a silly little game like that. Hope you all enjoyed those games. Thank you so very much for watching, as always. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.